In these weeks during which I've been digging deeper into the subject of leadership from the perspective of faith, I've had several conversations with persons who have responses or questions. A common theme in these conversations is that faith-based leadership is not a goal that can be attained by more effort. Rather, it is a gift from those who follow. Say it again. Leadership is not a goal that can be attained through more effort. Rather, it's a gift from those who follow. You know, it's quite common for a person to seek leadership by seeking a position, to possess the symbols of authority. But the road to faith is not an election. The road to faith-based leadership is not an election. It's not being named to an office or given a title. The road to faith-based leadership is the consequence of a person making choices to serve rather than being served. My response to one of my recent conversations was that seeking to be a faith-based leader without making choices to serve is a wild goose chase in which the goose is never caught. I have personally observed many persons on such a wild goose chase. They despair because no one follows them. They often blame their despair and discouragement on those who do not follow, and describe those who do not follow as listless and unfaithful. However, my experience is that persons of faith will not follow one who believes they deserve to be followed because of the office or position that they hold. Say it again. My experience is that persons of faith will not follow one who believes they deserve to be followed because of the office or position that they hold. The story of Jesus is where we must make the first consideration as we dig deeper into this subject. And this is certainly true with the characteristic of faith that we're going to add to the list today. We've dealt with foresight, persuasion, committed to the growth of others, and healing. This week we add to that list awareness. Faith-based leadership is the commitment to, at all times and in all places, be aware of one's surroundings, who is present, and the conditions that exist. Now, let's take a quick look at the life of Jesus. He was the one who always noticed. He was always aware. He was aware of the presence of children. He was aware of the woman who was about to be stoned to death. He was aware of the hypocrites who preached but never practiced. He was aware of the tax collector who was sitting up in a tree. He was aware of the presence of the thieves on the crosses on the same hill of his cross. He was aware of his mother being in the crowd witnessing her son's death. See, Jesus was always on the lookout, aware of those in his presence. And to emphasize this characteristic in his teaching, he often talked about the practice of blindness. Now, blindness can be present because of a physical ailment, a tragic condition. But blindness can also be the result of wearing blinders and choosing to be unaware. You see, wearing blinders enables one to be ignorant, ignoring persons and conditions around them. But faith-based leaders are aware and are willing to be interrupted by the needs of others. Wearing blinders enables one to, quote, tell it the way one wants it to be. Faith-based leaders are aware and tell it the way it is. Wearing blinders enables one to overlook immorality of the powerful. Faith-based leaders are aware of wrongdoing on the part of anyone. Wearing blinders enables one to follow the crowd. But faith-based leaders are aware that just because everyone is heading in this one direction doesn't make that direction the way of common good. Wearing blinders makes one comfortable, for alternatives are never discussed. Faith-based leaders are aware that the best decisions are made after every possible alternative is considered. Wearing blinders enables one not to notice the aches until they become pains. Faith-based leaders respond to the aches before they become pains. Now, one of my favorite hymns is the hymn that is the call to awareness. Listen to the words. Open my eyes that I may see glimpses of truth thou hast for me. Open my ears that I may hear voices of truth thou sendest clear. Open my mouth and let me bear gladly the warm truth everywhere. Silently now I wait for thee, ready, my God, thy will to see. Open my eyes, open my ears, open my heart, illumine me, Spirit divine. What a call to faith-based leadership. One of the most common examples of wearing blinders is the advice, oh, don't be considerate about that. It too will pass. In the life of a community or in the life of an individual, you know what's amazing about it? It will not pass. It might be a molehill, but unnoticed will often become a mountain which cannot be climbed. You see, faith-based leaders have their eyes open, no blinders, have their ears unplugged, minds active to be able to serve, meet the needs, large and small, knowing that left unattended, it will never pass. 30 years ago, the United Methodist Church adopted a statement of identity that who we are about to become is a community of open minds, open doors, and open hearts. Yes, that's true for a community, but it's also true for leadership from the perspective of faith. You see, closed minds is the practice of wearing blinders, unwilling to accept that every person has a brain and must have the freedom to think for themselves. That's, in my opinion, something that's not only needed in social and friendship relationships, that's also needed in our homes. Closed doors is the practice of wearing blinders, unwilling to recognize that Jesus might be knocking at the door as one of the least of these. Closed hearts is the practice of apathy. I don't care. Unwilling to recognize that to refuse to care is choosing to be an agent of human destruction. But on the other hand, faith-based awareness is to be open-minded, not to condone all thought, but to seek to understand the other. It's what open-mindedness is all about. Open doors is not to eliminate the common good and let everything go and let everything happen. But open doors is to be sure that all are exposed to the common good and the message of good news of forgiveness. You see, open hearts is not to be changed automatically because you relate to another person, but open hearts is to be open to be blessed by the presence of God in the life of the other person. Yes, I'm really convinced that awareness is an essential characteristic in faith-based leadership. Simply stated, when blinders are put in place, the opportunities to serve are missed. For your thought and conversation, a couple questions. First, in what situations do you experience the desire to wear blinders in order to be unaware of people and conditions around you? Another question. What experiences have you had or observed in others when blinders were removed and opportunities to serve emerged. It's great to be with you on a weekly basis. Thank you.